afternoon. Hey everybody. Today on Cooking with Kylie's Daddy, we're going to be doing stuffed bacon wrapped chicken breast. So the first thing we're going to do, we're going to prep 2 chicken breasts. Be sure that you wash your chicken breast off before you begin. So the first and most important part of the process is knowing how to fillet your chicken breast. So what we're going to do, we're going to open it up and we're going to take our knife and we're going to slide it down the middle about 3/4 of the way. 3/4 of the way. Then what we want to do is we're going to keep our knife at the same depth, but then we're just going to move it to the right after we're making cut-like motions. And you don't have to go hard with this. You can go kind of gentle with it, especially if your knife is really sharp like this one is. And then we want to do this, the other side the same way. Put our knife in about halfway. And just fan it out. Fillet it out. Just like that. So at the end, your chicken breast should look like that. Now, let's go and take care of some of this, because you want it to be as even as possible, so when you wrap it, it becomes easier to wrap, and most of your stuffing will stay inside. So, like so. Now, what I like to do is, because chicken breasts sometimes are hard to season, I'll take my knife and I'll make these little slight cuts so close all the way down. So that'll let that seasoning that we're going to put in a little bit later soak in. And you can also use these cuts to make your chicken breast lay out a little bit. Now this piece, you can throw it away if you want, but that's actually good chicken. So what I usually do, because one chicken breast is bigger than the other, I may put that inside and season it along with it as well. But that is completely up to you. So that's the first one out of the way. Of course, the show is called Cooking with Kylie's Daddy, which means that Kylie has to have one too. So here's our second one. Same process. Open them up a little. Okay. Take your knife, find middle. And you're going to go deeper towards the thick end than you are the thin end. So notice when I cut, my knife is 3/4 of the way through the big side, but it's barely touching on the thin side. And then the process is the same. Make small light knife cuts as you hold even pressure on your knife, going to the right, and then do the same thing going to the left. And if you're ambidextrous like me, you may start with the left and go to the right. It just depends. But the key rule here is you don't have to go too hard. You're not forcing it, you're filleting it. So now, this one can use a little more fillet, so we're going to take our knife and just fan out a little bit more. And the first time you do this, you may go a little slow. But after you do it a couple of times, you do it really, really quickly. And as always, anytime you're dealing with a sharp object, make sure you are focused and concentrating. And then just like on the other one, we have that little pocket that we want to trim off. So that when we wrap it, it'll look nice and neat. And like I said before, all that's good meat. So what we're going to end up doing is, once we season, when we season both of them, we're just going to put those little pieces of meat back in there. So now what we want to do is we want to go ahead and get to the seasoning. So for the seasoning, we are going to use some gunpowder seasoning, southern seasoning, black magic, and white magic. And that is going to be it. In between these different shots, I am, and you do as well, you want to wash your hands in between because you don't want contamination. You've been touching raw chicken, and so you want your hands to be clean before you touch your seasonings. Now, if I didn't have these seasonings, I would just use garlic powder, onion powder, black pepper, and just a little seasoning salt. But sometimes you can find seasonings like black magic, white magic, gunpowder seasoning that have done a lot of the guesswork for you. And the whole thing about cooking with Kylie's Dad is I'm trying to show people that, hey, it's not hard to make delicious and nutritious meals, because a lot of times we get off work and we're helping our child with homework. We're doing stuff that we have to do to prepare for the next day. And sometimes we feel like cooking a good meal is cumbersome. But I'm going to show you today by doing these stuffed bacon wrapped chicken breasts that it really doesn't take that much time to do. And you don't really have to worry about over seasoning a chicken breast. They're hard to get a good flavor in anyway, so you really have to overdo it to over season it. But if we were just talking about measurements, you'd probably be looking like quarter of a cup of onion powder, quarter of a cup of garlic powder, eighth of a cup of real black pepper, grind it up. And so the next stage we're gonna do, we need to put our bell peppers in, because we're gonna put orange slices in. Those orange slices are gonna give it a delicious flavor. And we're gonna also stuff it with mozzarella and cheddar cheese. This is just a combination that Kylie and I tend to prefer. You can put whatever cheese you would like in there. Okay, so I have already sliced up an orange bell pepper. Now I know you're thinking, hey, so I have to buy a whole bell pepper every time I want to do this? Well, no. Here's your life hack. Slice them up, whatever you don't use, put it in a Ziploc bag and freeze it. And when you take them out, they will still be just as good. Orange bell peppers hold their flavors really good. Now, if you notice, as I'm placing the orange bell peppers inside of the chicken breast, I am not touching the chicken breast, because if I was to touch the chicken breast, put my hand back in the bag, now you're cross-contaminating your bell pepper. And we're going to set these to the side because they're going to go back in the freezer. Now is the time that we start adding our mozzarella and our cheddar cheese to our chicken breast. So now, before we do that, remember those leftover pieces that we had that I said we're gonna put back in at the end? Here they go. So we're gonna lay one piece there, and since this one is bigger than the other one, I'm just gonna put both pieces into the smaller one. Okay, guys, and like I said, between clips, I am washing my hands every time I touch the chicken breast, because what you do not want to do is touch chicken breast, put your hand inside your cheese, and now you've cross-contaminated your whole bag of cheese, and now it's no good for anything else. So, get you a good pinch. Good pinch. And just, you're going to layer that inside there. And we're going to do the same thing on the other side. Good pinch. You may have to do 2. But as a starting basis, we start with 1. And clearly I'm going to need another one here. So, I'm going to do the same thing over here. Like so. And so I'm touching the cheese. I'm not actually touching the chicken breast, so that's okay. That's okay, chefs know that's okay. As long as you're not touching the chicken breast. I'm gonna do the same thing again. This time I'm gonna use mozzarella. And it didn't. You wanna use mild cheddar, and almost any mozzarella will work for it. Or you could choose to do provolone or something like that. I tend to like provolone more on Philly cheesesteaks, and I prefer mozzarella and mild cheddar in my chicken breast. So now we have those stuffed with orange bell peppers, mild cheddar, and mozzarella. This is gonna be good, guys. Okay, guys, next I'm gonna show you how we wrap our chicken breast. I like to use applewood bacon, really thick pieces. Regardless of what the flavor that you like to use as far as bacon is concerned, make sure you get thick bacon, not the thin slices of bacon, but the really thick slices. You'll thank me later on that. Now, from experience, I know that it's going to take me at least 6 pieces of bacon, so that I will not cross-contaminate the rest of the bacon. I am going to pull out 6 strips of bacon before it's hand. Let's see, that's 1, 2, 3, and 4. And we need 2 more pieces. 5 and 6. And we'll set the other bacon to the side for now. Now, another pro tip that I can give you guys, while you're seasoning and putting your cheddar cheese and stuff on your chicken breast, go ahead and take that pack of bacon that you bought and put it in the freezer. Because if your bacon is kind of stiff, it makes it easier when you're trying to wrap it. So now we're going to start with the smaller one. And I'm using this style of toothpick. You use whichever kind that you want. These tend to be a little bit easier to pull out. So, having toothpicks will help you to make your wrap really perfect. Now, all of this is going in the oven, so it's okay if I lay this bacon on top of here as I get the first chicken breast ready to wrap. So I press my filling down. Some filling's gonna come out. That's fine. That's why we put a good generous amount inside. We don't care if some of it sticks out or falls out. So now, we want to hold this tight. The tighter you wrap it, the better it turn out. And what you do, take your bacon, instead of starting from the bottom, start from the top so you know you have that covered really good. And stick your toothpick in. Then come under and go around and put your another toothpick in. So now that's 1 piece. And remember I told you it usually takes 3. It just depends. Sometimes your bacon width will be a little thicker or a little thinner, so you may use 2, or you could use more than 3. And notice how I'm wrapping and make sure I get all the chicken breast covered. And this will be our third strip, and this should be the last strip that we need. And don't be afraid to tug on your bacon a little bit. And there we have it. One perfectly wrapped chicken breast. My advice when it comes to toothpicks, you can never use enough, because you want to have it when it come out looking nice, neat, ready to go. So, one done, one left to go. Guys, it's not cross-contamination because this is the bacon that I'm going to use on this chicken. And I only have enough bacon out for these two wraps. So we are fine. So if you like, some of the cheese that's on your cut board now, you can drop that down and that's fine. It's all about to get cooked. So, no harm, no foul there. Now, depending on how big the chicken breast is, will depend on will determine how you wrap it. Now this one is a little bit longer than the other one. So what I want to do is this. I'm going to take this side and I'm going to lay it over first. Then I'm going to take this side and I'm going to roll it on top. So it's its own little mini taco. Now, my suggestion would be hold it as firm as you can, because that first piece of bacon that you put on will be the most important. It will tell the take for all the rest of your wrap. It will determine how you do it. So, get the first strip really good. Don't be afraid to pull it around a little tight. That's why we want thick bacon, guys and gals. And so notice now, one toothpick serves as a placeholder for a second because they have to overlap some. And so just take advantage of using one toothpick to hold two pieces. And then again, we're gonna wrap around again. Making sure we keep them really close. Keeping a firm grip on our chicken breast. And now I can hold that with my pointer finger. Grab me another piece of bacon. Lay that piece of bacon right over, just a small overlap. Nothing big. Just taking advantage. Just want to take advantage of being able to use one toothpick to hold two of them. Less toothpicks in, less toothpicks toothpicks that you have to pull out. And so we are almost there. When you get to the end, you'll notice that you can push on this chicken breast some, and it will go in to your wrap, because we want everything nice and neat. We want to keep all the contents in as much as we can. Now don't be afraid if during the cooking process some of it comes out. It happens, but we used a generous amount of seasoning and cheese for that very purpose. So on the end, pro tip, if you see that it could separate, like on this side it could separate in the oven, I'm just going to go ahead and stick me another toothpick in there. And problem is solved. So there you have it. Two loaded, stuffed, bacon wrapped chicken breast. Next, we're going to put these two chicken breasts directly on the cooking rack in the oven. We're going to preheat the oven to 350 degrees. We're going to leave them in there for an hour, rotating them halfway through the cook. So, if we're going to have them in there for an hour, 30 minutes in the process, we're going to roll them 180 for my math guys out there and girls, 180. And let them cook for 30 more minutes. And then at that point, it depends on your oven, because all ovens do not cook the same. But as a general rule, 350 for an hour should be fine. You'll know when it's done because you'll see that bacon. When the bacon is done, the grilled chicken is definitely to the internal temperature that it needs to be. So we have no problems there as well. Okay guys, while we wait on the oven to preheat, I wanted to show you guys the setup that I have. Recall earlier I said that we are going to put the chicken breast directly on the rack. We are. Why? Because experience has taught me that's the best way to do it. It gives your chicken breast a great flavor and none of the grease associated with it. Under the grill rack, you can see I have placed a catch pan. Any pan will be fine that is oven safe and is wide enough to catch the grease that comes off of your chicken breast. I've also lined the bottom of the oven with aluminum foil. That just makes cleanup a little easier. Now remember, we're going to cook them for an hour on 350 and we're going to rotate them 180 degrees halfway through the cook. Okay guys, and just like we promised, we are going to cook our loaded stuffed chicken breast for an hour directly on the cooking rack. But notice how we have a drip pan. That will keep all the grease contained and easy to clean up. So we'll see you back in 30 minutes when we rotate. Okay guys, we're halfway through the cook. And as you can see, we're starting to look delicious. So we're going to rotate these 180 degrees, or basically we're just going to flip them. And then we're going to leave them in for 30 more minutes. See you then. Okay guys, as you can clearly see, our hour is up and we are looking fantastic. Time to take them out. Okay guys, now that we have given our chicken breast a chance to rest, what we want to do now is we want to go ahead and remove the toothpicks. I highly recommend oven safe gloves, but in this case I like to use barbecue mitts. They're so much handier. And just grip it and start removing your toothpicks. You want to make really sure that you pull out all the toothpicks, because you don't want to bite into a toothpick. That will probably not be a pleasant experience. So this one appears to be done. Let's do the same thing for the other one. And so having these gloves on makes short work of removing the toothpicks. And there we go. So now guys, all that's left for us to do is to cut them and to plate them. And so guys, there you have it. And there you have it. Stuffed bacon wrapped chicken breast. This meal should be able to, you should be able to do this meal in an hour. And you couldn't see now, but because of the cook time in the oven, that allowed me to do other stuff, like help my daughter with her homework and other stuff that we have going on around the house. So hopefully you like. Don't forget to subscribe. Cooking with Kylie's Daddy. Okay, guys, and there you have it. Cooking with Kylie Daddy. 1 hour meal.